Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to go over the changes in version 0.3.7.5, 0.3.7.4, and there might be a little of the other ones, 0.3.7.2 and 0.3.7.1, because some of those changes kind of intermix with each other, where it's like you can't talk about one without talking about the other. But I'm not going to be going over every single change in the changelog. For example, this one, improved direct 3D crash messages. I'm not going to go out of my way to intentionally crash the game and be like, yes, this crash message is better than the previous crash messages, because I don't know. I never crashed the game and looked at the crash messages to figure out, oh, this is what they look like. So I'm just going to go over what you would notice when you're actually playing the game. So to start this off, we're going to just go to Dry Rock Island. One of the most obvious changes are the modifications to the user interface. That is just a fancy way of saying the menus are different. For example, if we fly off a cliff and then hit escape, or we could do it while we're on the ground as well. I just wanted to fly off a cliff. It brings up this new menu. And we're going to go through the buttons in a kind of out of the order way, just because it makes more sense that way. First one I'm going to talk about is the change level button. This button allows you to change the level from anywhere. You don't have to go back to the main menu to change your level. You just click it and go into the next level you want. Load right directly into it. And then there's the play button, which is no different than the change level button as of right now. The race button doesn't seem to do anything. I'm clicking it right now and nothing's happening. And the free roam button just brings up the change level menu. And as far as I can tell, loading into that with either of these doesn't seem to make much difference. The environment button is also non-functional. I can click it as much as I want and nothing happens. The change vehicle button, that is functional, and it only uses the new vehicle selector. The old vehicle selector is totally gone. As far as I know, there's no way to access the old one, which was that little list of vehicles that were kind of alphabetized, but not really, because it went by the folder name and not the vehicle name. Now, the only way to select your vehicle is using the new vehicle selector, which I think is a huge improvement over the other one, because you got pictures. And there are some things without pictures. Those are mostly mods that are so old it was before the new vehicle selector existed. So there's just no picture from because of that. But all the stock vehicles and a lot of the newer mods do include all the things required to support the new vehicle selector. So for example, we could click this, and if you haven't seen the new vehicle selector before, you have the ability to choose the kind of car the model of the car you want, I should say, from here. And you can choose a predefined color from here, or choose whatever color you want using this. I'm going to just say, for example, I want a silver Corvette, and I could hit apply, and then I would get a silver Corvette. Alright, now we have the silver Corvette, just like I said I would. And the next thing on the menu doesn't seem to quite work right. It's the vehicle parts button. And you see there's no actual selection parts here. But it seems like it works fine if you access it from the other menu over here. So if you hit parts config there, it works. You can select any part you want, no problem. But for some reason on this menu, on the left side, it doesn't pull it up right. So that's that. And the next thing is the action menu, which seems really neat, but it doesn't function at all yet. But it has neat things like repair vehicle, attach trailer, add remove hitch, switch gear mode, turn engine on off, detach trailer, respawn, switch to 4-wheel drive mode. And some of those features are things that I don't think are currently present in the game, period, like the detached trailer and stuff. Other things, like the switch gear mode, were things that you kind of had to know a hotkey for beforehand to be able to access that. So I think it's a good improvement overall to be able to eventually remove a lot of the hotkeys and have a menu alternative as well for people who are more inclined to use those versus try to memorize hotkeys. But I still like having the hotkeys there because they're convenient. When you don't want to pull up the menu, you just click what you want. But right now, like I said, these are non-functional. You click it and it'll just pull up a little window that says exactly what the button says. So if I hit repair vehicle, it'll just have a little window that says repair vehicle. But it's a good preview of the feature for when it actually does come out, unless they change the design again. These are all changes on the UI are subject to change, so this is no guarantee it'll be exactly what it looks like. I'm just showing you what it does look like right now on this version of the game. And I think that's all the buttons on the left side, isn't it? Yeah, you have an options button here too. I forgot about that one. And I don't want to be messing with it right now while I'm recording, but you could change all your graphical settings from here. You can see the exact graphic settings I use to some extent, right? Well, not really. It doesn't have the things actually visible. Oh look, it doesn't work. Boo! Okay, I was wondering if I had to click the little button, but nah. So you can change some settings, like mostly it looks like it's used for the post processing things. So maybe if you want to like take a picture and you want it to look a certain way, you could change those up to make the picture look really nice, but it would look terrible to actually play with like that maybe. That's what I'm thinking. It'd be cool to have profiles, now I think about it, for doing stuff like that. I don't do that though, so I really don't care. It's just a random idea I had right now. But anyways, that's that. And sometimes this happens where you can have 2 of these menus. I love this menu so much, I want 2 of them. I don't really love it that much. We don't need 2 of them. Go away. So that's the new menu when you hit escape. And the other thing I want to talk about is the AI menu is no longer on Control T. Instead, you want to go over here and you're just going to click AI, and there are the buttons for the AI. And there's a new one called Keep Distance, which is pretty fun to play around with, and I might do a whole video just for that one. But I'll do a quick demonstration of it, see if I can get to a good road to do it. Maybe I could just climb this mountain. I personally don't think the car will make it, but we're going to try it anyways. You know what? Not worth the trouble. This isn't about the off-roading, so you know what? Let's hit F7 and, yeah, right at spawn and up the mountain. Oh, that's fine, though. We are where I want to be. So let's go ahead and spawn up another car and use that one as the AI, or maybe use me as the AI even. I think that might be a little bit more convenient. So we'll leave that one like that, and we'll put the AI to keep distance, which right now means they're going to actually try to get away. They don't want to get away by too much, though. They're going to try to follow me once I leave. And it actually seems to work relatively well for guiding them, which is fun to do. No, don't do that! You're making me look like a liar by just driving over everything. But they generally, I say generally, because apparently this guy wants to like show off his driving abilities, will follow you in a way that allows you to not have to worry too much about what they're doing. And you can just drive on your own and they'll be there. So I'm trying to make it where you can see both of them all at once. There we are. It looks like a totally different game from this camera angle. Like a I don't know, it's cool. Over the top kind of racing game. But you can see the AI's not having too much issue trying to follow me. Oh goodness, a turn. They just slammed into me. Hey, that's me, dude. You made me hit a tree. Come on. What's up with that? Don't you see my brake lights? He just slams into me, man. That's unfair. But like maneuvering through there, he's able to do it for the most part. If there's like a really tight road, he'll get stuck for sure because he's still doing a direct path to my location, which is not how you follow somebody in real life. But he is able to try to stay on the road. And I was trying to make him stay on the road right there and I almost crashed me. That's great. I accidentally hit the camera button, but you see, it's fun to just make the AI follow you and not actually try to kill you. I don't know, it's cool. I think it's really cool to be able to do this. It's much more useful than the old AI where they would just slam into you and then just keep slamming into you forever and ever and ever. This one actually does stuff. Oh, that bridge is smoother. Yeah, that's one of those things that was changed, and it's really hard to show. But I'm just saying it right now because I remember reading it. The bridges are smoother. At least I think it was that bridge. I don't know. Either way, the AI, they'll slam into you like a dummy if you brake too hard. And, well, then we're both stuck now. So good job there, AI, huh? Let's go ahead and head to a different map now. I'm getting a little bored of this one, and then we'll talk about the next thing that has been changed that I wanted to talk about. So let's go to industrial site for this. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Hirochi Sunburst. That's that car that comes with the game that I seemingly never used up until this point because it wasn't really done enough for me to want to use it. Now, that's definitely no longer the case because it has the one thing I was mainly waiting on, which is a fully done interior. At least it looks fully done to me. But the way the changelog is phrased, it sounds like it's still not completely done, but I don't really know what else there is to add. It looks done to me. I'm assuming there's something I'm overlooking that's really obvious to you guys. You guys are gonna be like, it's that, but to me it's like this interior has what you would want in a car interior. I don't know, maybe that's supposed to be like a touchscreen and it just looks like a hole. Maybe that's what's left. I don't know. Either way, this interior is functional. It got the gauges, the steering wheel, the pedals, which are hard to see, but if you look in the shadows, you'll see them. You'll see them kind of moving around between the steering wheel. Actually, if I hold the steering wheel at lock, you can see them good. There you go. And then you got the gear shifter, which is funny. Because you never really notice it, but when you're driving a car in BeamNG.drive, when you're accelerating, it's in drive. Then you let off on the gas, it's like, time to put it in neutral. I have never once met a single person who drives like that. Like, who does that? It's crazy. I did something similar, to be honest, though, with my RX-7. I did something really similar. I would, well, it was because I had a failing automatic transmission. Learned my lesson there. Bought a manual transmission the next time. But when I was coming to a stop, I had to slap it into neutral so it wouldn't stall out when it was downshifting, because it would downshift, and then it would be like, oh, how do I put fuel into the engine? And I'm not, and then the engine was dead. And then I would have to, it's just like, oh, man. I don't know exactly what was causing it, but the car would stall out all the time, and it was just like, okay, I figured out the solution. I got to downshift into neutral every time the car wants to downshift. And it worked. And then my next car was a manual. I learned the lesson for sure. But yeah, that's the interior for this car, and that's one of the main things that was holding me back from using it. And there are also a bunch of other versions of this car that are with this version of the game. So let's go and just crash this thing and then look at them, because we haven't crashed it yet. Also, I think the fenders were modified or something, but I don't know the car enough from the old version to say what the difference was. Oh, my hubcap fell off. Alright, let's go ahead. So you really do have a lot of options for this car, so here's my best attempt at explaining what they are. The first two are the bland, generic, boring ones. These are the kind of car that you would buy if you care about fuel economy, and there's two transmission options. There's a CVT and a manual. Obviously, you would choose manual if you want to shift, CVT if you don't want to shift. Next, they have the 2.0 all-wheel drive race edition, and again, there's two transmission choices. There's a DCT and a manual. And this version is not like a production vehicle. This is if they took the 2.0 all-wheel drive Sport RS edition and they made it even sportier. It's a race edition, so it's more than sport. But basically, this one has a roll cage and a stripped interior. This one is still a normal car, but it's much like the Subaru Impreza and the Lancer Evolution and all those, where they have like a kind of boring generic edition of the car, and then they have a fast, fun version of the car. There's also a 2.0 all-wheel drive Sport that's just an S and not an RS, which is like the in-between between the normal economy version and then the fancy RS edition. Then you have the 2.0 Sport with just front-wheel drive. I don't know why you would want that. If you're going to get a faster engine, you might as well get the all-wheel drive too. And then lastly, there's a 2.0 all-wheel drive Rally. Yeah, that's a lot of work to go through it. Interestingly enough, the Rally one is the only one without a manual transmission option. So let's start by grabbing the all-wheel drive Sport Edition in a brighter color, because I do like my bright colors, and drive that one some. So this one, you can see it has a different body kit than the normal one. It has a just more aggressive body kit overall, basically. You could say it got like the wing and the scoop, as well as like a rear diffuser even and stuff. With the other one, it don't have that kind of stuff. Interior is for the most part the same. I don't see any differences, but there might be some. I haven't done really close inspections on any of these cars, unfortunately. I just haven't thought of it. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, it does have those. I haven't checked that though, so I'm assuming it's the same, but it might not be. I do know what the race edition interior looks like, at least. So this is just some driving around with it. You get a reasonable idea with how fast it is and how much you could steer around with it and mess around. But I want to go ahead and move on to the race edition, because it's basically this car plus a roll cage, and I think a little bit faster of an engine, so why not? Of course, I also think it has changes to the suspension and stuff, but the more obvious visual change is the roll cage. I love roll cages. And it does remove the back seats, so if you have children, you're just going to strap them to the roll cage and tell them you'll be fine. Oh, that's an interesting glitch. The dash disappeared. Okay, well, I never noticed that. When you crash, the dash breaks. Maybe that's the part of the interior they said they were working on. So there you go. I figured it out. But aside from the rear seat removal, I don't think there's any sort of more lightweight kind of stuff, because this is a race car. You would think there might be a little bit more of it. So maybe that's what they're working on. I don't know for sure. I'm just taking some guesses here. But the way they phrased it sounds like it's not done yet. I don't know why. But exterior, for the most part, the same as the other one. Just sits slightly lower, possibly because of a race suspension. It definitely bounces more, so it's definitely a stiffer suspension. And it's definitely kind of broken, so I can't control it. So let's just move on to the Rally one, which is exactly the same in terms of looks visually, but has a rally suspension. So it's supposed to be able to do rallying, but not exactly the greatest rally car, it seems like. If I'm going through these things like this, it usually seems I'll break the back rear tires, or the rear tires too fast. Back rear tires. How many rows of tires do I have? Just 2. So why is there back rear? Because I messed up my words. Alright, well, they're held up so far. That's good. Oh no, my wing! Oh, this car don't look right without the wing. Because now you can see like how the fenders were rolled out and they don't match it because they don't have the wing. Oh, how did I forget the lights? It has little lights on the front for the Rally Edition. I totally forgot about those. Do they work? Oh, poor Rally lights, they don't work. The car itself has cool lights actually. Because if you hit something, you can make them fall out, which is fun to do. So let's see, did that make them fall out? That's too much falling out. Like, you can have them. Okay, let me try that again. I guess I don't need to crash that hard. Like that? There we go. See, now they fell out, but they're still hanging on. So they'll bounce around and stuff, which is fun. I'm getting all off topic here. Now this isn't about the update anymore, is it? I think that's all I really have to say about this car. It's been just, there's a lot of improvements to it. I'm sure there's things I forgot to say, but it's just so much better all around where it's like, yeah, I'm going to use this car now. Next thing is the Gravel T series, which doesn't have a picture, unfortunately, so it's kind of weird to find it. It now has a cargo box uplift edition, which means it's so cute. It's the cutest little thing. Look at this. It's a little tiny box on it. Like I got a big old big rig and then a little box. I think it's adorable. But yeah, it has the box. It functions just like the box in the H-Van, where if you hit the parking brake, it opens up, and then you can close it. And you can transport things if you can load it, which is actually harder now. That's something I was going to talk about later, but I guess we could talk about now, because there's really only one more thing I could think of that I wanted to talk about, and that was something I did a whole video for, so I don't know if I'll bother. Anyways, what I was getting at is it's harder to load things into position because the whole little cheating thing I used to do where you teleport a vehicle into position by, oh, I still have the AI on following, but anyways, where you would say, I want to put the vehicle right here, and you would hit F7, doesn't work anymore. It's like it doesn't function anymore. You click it and it doesn't work unless you're the first vehicle spawned. That one still worked, and it's really unfortunate to me because I love being able to do that. Now if you want to move vehicles, you got to use the map editor. It's too bad. I don't feel like using the map editor right now, so you don't get to see this thing get loaded up. That, and I haven't decided if I'm probably going to do like a whole video for this where we try to load things up. But you just know that it exists for this video. I'll actually use it in another video. Promise. Unless I forget. In which case, I'm sorry. Now, last thing, which I've also done a whole video for, so I won't do too much for it, is the Ibishu Corvette with skid plates. So you can see, instead of having a wheel in the back, you have a chunk of metal that's been welded to a steely. And you have normal wheels in the front. So what that does is that makes it where when you try to drive anywhere, you just slide all over the place. Like I'm trying to go in a straight line. Not gonna happen. Especially with an automatic transmission. If you're using this, I highly suggest to use a manual transmission, because when the car shifts and the amount of power changes, it moves the car around a lot. But this is mostly just fun for screwing around with. If you're trying to drive serious, you're not going to use this. It's just like if you want to just slide all over the place, that's what you use. And this is the same thing as putting McDonald's trays under your Honda Civic and going about. That's basically the same thing as far as I know. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of hard to really demonstrate, but I can do my best to just give you an idea of it, okay? I don't think you really understand, but because it's just so hard to show, and even I myself don't even know what I'm trying to explain, but the tires are different. Yeah, that's very vague, isn't it? It's using some newer model to do the tires. And you don't really notice a difference just driving along, as you've kind of seen. There's nothing that's too dramatic. But I do notice that when you're driving along with flat tires, the change is more noticeable, I think. Or I'm just imagining it. Unfortunately, I can't go back and compare it because I don't have the old version of the game backed up, so it's the only version that's available to me. But it feels like now the tires are actually flat when you hit the deflate tires button versus actually just kind of being like a low pressure. These ones feel like they have a flat tire. So I would assume like I know the developers are going to make a blog post that explains more about that. So that's really all I can say about it as of right now, but I have to assume they're better, otherwise they wouldn't have implemented the new version, right? If it was worse, they wouldn't have used it. So there's improvements to the tires, I just can't tell you what they are. And I think that's really everything that there is that I could easily show. And again, if you want a full list of changes, check out the changelog, but these are the major changes you'll probably notice when you're playing the game. And, you know, there's also a bunch of small changes to like the way shading is done on the vehicles and stuff, I think, and You know, if I had a side-by-side picture, you could tell those apart, but not driving around without a comparison point. So, yeah. Anyways, till next time, this is WhyBeAre. I'll see ya. Wouldn't you know it? Right as I was editing this video you just watched, version 0.3.7.6 came out. Luckily, there's nothing really in this update that's really good for a video. Like, there's a lot of bug fixes, which, again, you can't really do in a video because it's like, how do I show that the game doesn't crash? You know? But there's new cube maps on the vehicle reflections, so they look different when they reflect. Again, it's kind of hard to show the difference. Thumbnails for vehicles, I thought they all had one except the T-Series, so it's just a T-Series thumbnail now. And minor changes to the body kit. And then, again, cube map stuff, and yeah. So there's really nothing there that's worth showing off, but yeah. What terrible timing do I have? 2 hours later, here, have another update. Oh, dang it. I should have recorded this one a day ago, but I wanted to make sure I knew what there was. Oh well. Once again, till next time, this is WhyBeAre. I'll see ya. So the new thumbnails just have a slightly different background to them mostly, and then the cars have colors. It's so nice to see the colors instead of every car being white. You also got a work in progress thing on the Gravel T-Series, and really that's the only change that's something that you could really put in a video for that version. So that'll do it once again, and until next time, this is WhyBeAre. I'll see ya. The video that just won't end, so I noticed another interesting glitch. When you crush the tires of a vehicle that's using the new tire physics, at least I think it's when you crush the tires, the camera for the car will go crazy. So right there you saw the tire cause the vehicle to glitch into position, and now when you are actually the vehicle and not the crusher, yeah, you can't see anything. And as far as I know, there's not a fix for this. Like, I tried hitting a bunch of keys and like, it's not working. So that's interesting. Don't crush the new tires is all I'm saying. That's just a warning to you guys. Don't do it. You'll regret it.